If you're an investor who's wondered if you should invest outside the US, stick around because we're going to talk about some pros and cons about that today. So recently I had a conversation with a gentleman who had bought a house in Mexico. He was a hardcore flipper investor, had done all the things here in the United States. And he said, I'm going to take my knowledge, going to go live somewhere warmer, and it's going to be great. But the problem is it's a different country, right? So obviously they have all their own rules, but one of the biggest things is really a change in culture that you have to account for if you're going to invest within another country. So in this example, this investor said, contractors are already hard enough to get to show up to a job here in the United States, right? But think about a culture that, in the Latino culture, it's very common that they're a little more laid back. They need their nap in the afternoon. And he said it just really became a struggle to get contractors to show up and be reliable for the flips that he was doing. Or in contrast, for anything that he bought and wanted to hold long term, obviously your tenant base is pretty different compared to being in the US. So he was surprised by that. But what he and I were discussing was the fact that the number one rule of real estate still applies, right? Location, location, location. So you got to know your market to know that you're picking a really good location. So if you are familiar with the country, you're doing your homework, and you're going to know the market really well, then great. That might be a good opportunity for you to go invest in another market, but make sure that you are comfortable with that and analyze the macroeconomics too. So what I mean by that, right, the stability of the government, the stability of the currency. Is there going to be a revolution? Is there unsettling things happening, right? The government culture is really important as well. Landlord-tenant laws are, if there's those in place in that country. So looking at it from the macroeconomic standpoint is really important as well. But there's just some simple things that you have to be able to account for. Like in this example, the investor said that he wanted to go buy some pre-built cabinets, right? Which is very common. You go to Lowe's, you go to IKEA, get some nice pre-made cabinets, slap them together, and you're done. Well, the supply chain is not what it was in other countries, and he couldn't get pre-built cabinets, believe it or not. So he said it was just a whole struggle to do something that for him in the US is way easier. So, you might want to just dip a toe in carefully if that's your plan and make sure that it fits before you go diving in deeply. But at the end of the day, if you know your market can make those numbers work, it could be very lucrative to do investing outside the US and other markets. Just make sure you're doing your homework.